What we found is the fact that, because what happened to Sophie, anybody who is alternative or has anything to do with all the alternative subcultures, actually that fear that Sophie felt previous to that, because she'd been, insulted and attacked before the actual night of, the really horrific attack, that fear, most alternative people have had a little bit of a nugget of that, of that feeling alienated, and not feeling, accepted, I suppose.
Controversial statement here, but
Yes.
Not being accepted is part of the deal.
Okay.
So for most alternative people that I know, it starts with not wanting to be accepted. Otherwise, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
If I talk about me, first, did not want to be accepted. That's why I wanted to be alternative. Call it gothic, metal, alternative, whatever you want. And then after a while, you feel like, okay, now I provoked enough.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to be accepted, but still you don't want to be part of the establishment. That's part of the struggle and the journey, I guess. And I think it's always this middle way between you do not really want to be accepted, but at the same time you do not really want to be mocked about it. Mm-hmm. At least this is how I feel, because when I was young and I started, feeling different and didn't want to look like anybody else, if people would have accepted me 100%, from day one, I would have strived for something else and not being accepted. Okay. Maybe just to throw this in as a thought.
Yeah. You have these societal norms and you just don't want to be part of that game. And it's like, no, you're a man, you've got to be this, that, the other. And you just say, no, screw you. I don't feel that way. And I don't want to have to be part of this. And not being accepted for our different qualities, maybe, is that what makes us strive for a different group and a different surrounding where we feel accepted with our different maneuvers, whatever, our different behavior patterns. And I think what Chris said pretty much resonates, that we try to be different altogether and try to be different and form a new community and find acceptance in that.
Yeah, well, that's how I feel, and working with the community. I've been with the foundation 12 years, but that's how I feel. I just feel, and we come from a charity, we come from it this way, it's who you are. Not maybe you said about you wanting to feel different. Could that have been just who you are?
Yes, I think it's when you feel like you cannot really identify with your surrounding, or maybe not even identify with the human race somehow, or with like manhood in like what you just said. Well, like I myself, I couldn't really, even as a cisgender heterosexual, I couldn't really identify with what society told me how a man actually should be, and I still struggle with that. I feel like I don't fit in that.
I mean, there's obviously lots of places to look at, but I think you earlier on you touched on one point briefly, which was the boys who would say, "Oh, I don't like her," or "She's weird," or "He's weird," because they want to make fun, they want to belong to their group. But we're talking about the belonging again and being part of a group, and the insecurity of not being able to keep your own opinion and your own mindset regarding of what society or your group or your friends around you tell you. So if they think like, oh no, we've all got to make fun of these, this gives us a purpose and a sense of belonging. We belong together because we make fun of the same people. And obviously this can go in all directions, and this can also be inside of a group. If they're all alternative, goth, call them whatever.
And it's easier to pick on minorities because they are less.
Exactly, exactly, because often enough, this comes from a place of being scared, of being alone, of being different, maybe yourself. And so we make fun of the people who are even more different. And I think this is, at least when you look at schools and all the bullying going on, where often enough the bulliers are very scared themselves and they need to let it out somehow.
Yeah. You say something there about this being scared of this. We talked about this a lot when we just created this new album or trilogy that we have, which is about darkness, but mostly the darkness inside of us. All those dark places which mostly feel good. It's not about the places inside of us which are dangerous or creepy or which we fear. It's about the darkness that feels good, because the way we look, the reason we look that way, because it makes us feel good. We do this kind of music because it's fun, not to feel miserable. I wear black not to feel miserable, because I like it. So the thing is, I think it's something you either feel very early, or at some point of your life you feel like you gravitate to it, or you're just born that way, that the majority of people don't understand. So for them, everything dark and black and sinister is kind of dangerous. So they're literally afraid of that. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not even their fault, and they don't understand it. This is why education is important. So, because the record we just did, it's about this feel good in the dark. And of course, some songs are also about the dangerous places, blah, 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 blah. But mostly we do this because we like it. Yeah. And it's always like, whenever we're being asked, like, why do you look that way? Everybody always wants like an educated reason or whatever. You just go like, mostly the answer is just like, yeah, because I feel like it.
That's just, Chris, that's incredible, because it's actually the seed, what we say in schools. When like a teacher will say, well, they wouldn't get that grief if they didn't dress like that. They wouldn't get that grief. They don't have to dress like that. So what we then say, well, you need to see it from this point of view. Of course they're going by. Of course people go and buy the clothes. Of course they put them on in the morning, and of course they probably think they might get some grief from it. But actually, those clothes they're putting on, they choose all those things. They choose to buy them. But they can't choose the feelings.
Yeah.
People cannot choose how they feel. So pick those. So just like you might be wearing a two-piece suit, or I don't know, a ballerina costume or a football kit, and you feel amazing. That's exactly the same as anybody who's alternative. They put their best clothes on that make them feel the best. There's no choice in that.
And it's the same with music. I listen to a Slipknot song or something even darker and harder, and I just get in a very good mood. Yeah. Other people get aggressive. I listen to reggae, I get very aggressive. Other people get in a good mood. Mm-hmm. So, and the majority of people, they get in a good mood with reggae beach party music. I don't. So of course, like, it's like, if you go into there's countries where people, more people feel that way. If you go to Finland, it feels like half of the people there more feel like us. So there is no real picking on the alternative scene there. They don't even call it that way, because it feels like it's half of the people. Yeah. Maybe they just are born with a different kind of mode, or I don't know.
Possibly. We work with an organisation in Sweden called RTSI. And there is a Gothic band, Nick, who's a lead singer of a Gothic band called the Dark Side Cowboys in Sweden, and exactly the same what you're saying there. That there is more acceptance. It's just very, very weird. But I think one of the conclusions we've come to is actually from a very, very early age in this country, and I think probably in most countries, from primary school, you are taught to follow rules. You are rewarded for conforming. You're rewarded for being good, for wearing the uniform.
And you're being taught black is not a color, and these are the happy colors. Yeah. It's very deep anchored in our civilization somehow. Course, and I get it where it's coming from.
Structures hold a civilization together. If you would delete all the rules, all societal norms, it would be mayhem. You need something to hold on to, something which gives you a measure of what is right, what is wrong. Yeah.
But it's still like that. I remember, like, when I first started to wear black, and I don't wear it all day. I have days where I really feel like I feel a different person.
This man loves pink like a maniac.
Yes. And I can look very colorful. But when I started this, I always heard this. Where have you been? To a funeral? And we actually made a song about that, which is going to be on part 3 on the Opus Noir trilogy. It's called My Funeral, because I'm talking about this, like, the black is my happy color. So when I'm being buried, we need a new color of grief. And the chorus actually says, wear pink to my funeral. Oh. So how open you keep it, You have this canvas, and of course you meet someone and you put some stuff on this canvas instantly. And this kind of being judgmental also have its upsides. Otherwise you couldn't fall in love with someone instantly, Like, you don't know nothing about the person. You just feel like that's it. So, but you should be ready to erase stuff from that canvas at any time. And so often I taught, I worked at the university for audio stuff. for 15 years. And so many times when there were new students, the ones that felt most cool, like at the first second, turned out to be the biggest assholes later. Mm-hmm. And the ones where I was like, I don't know, were the greatest guys later. So I had to ask myself again and again and again, why do I fall in this trap again and again? Mm-hmm. So I really try to keep the eraser in my other hand at all times to erase stuff from that canvas, or maybe set up a new one. Yeah. Or maybe don't even have a canvas, but we're humans, we do that. Yeah. We meet someone, we go like, yeah.
The 5 strands, every police service in the UK follows those 5 strands, but then each individual police force can choose another strand if they want to follow that. Mm-hmm. Say if it was misogyny, and we do have 16, 18 police forces that do monitor lifestyle and dress code. They do monitor alternative subcultures, and they will put it down as a hate incident or a hate crime if somebody's been attacked and they are alternative.
Wouldn't it be nice if those strands wouldn't actually exist at all? It's just like every crime like that is a hate crime for some reason. Why do you need a category to be like, oh, now it's worse. Now let's follow the lead. Yeah. It's like,
and that's the worst.
I'm not a policeman, so what do I know? But it feels like
somebody's died here, shouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Completely...
So
why do we care about what she looked like? Initially.
Yeah.
Well, Sophie's case actually sent absolute shockwaves through the police when it was sentenced, because the boys who did it were all under 18, so they weren't expecting large sentences at all. But when it was called Judge Russell who sentenced, and he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and he said in his summation at the end of the trial that said this is a hate crime equal to all of us.